Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Think Future. My name's C.K, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. I said it again. I said we. We're talking innovation, startup, the future, or I am. Not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order. If you're watching on YouTube, just hit that subscribe button and smack that bell so that you can get a new notification when a show comes on. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, please subscribe. And if you like the show, just let me know. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you don't like the show, let me know personally. So a while back, we were talking mimetic theory with Rene Girard, and I think that still has a lot of legs and it's still interesting, and we should still continue to walk down that path because there's so much more to explore there. But I just came across another, he's not quite a philosopher, a psychologist, who apparently is in the same pantheon as Jung and Freud. And I think his name was Adler. And I noticed that there was a couple of Japanese folks who had taken some of his concepts, blended in with Stoicism, and come up with some very interesting concepts. And I think the book was called, what was it called? It was The Courage to be Disliked. And I was reading some of the elements from this book, and I thought it was very interesting. Some of the points that they were making in the book, I thought were extremely, extremely interesting, especially when it comes to how you think about the past. Now, we always say the same thing about the past, right? We always say that past performance doesn't necessarily indicate future results, right? And that is true, because even if something occurred in the past, it's not necessarily so that whatever happened in the past will happen in the same way in the future, right? Because the past and the future are completely different realities. No matter what it is, just because something sold in the past doesn't mean it's going to sell in the future. Just because something didn't sell in the past doesn't mean it's not going to sell in the future. We can't make a determination whether the future and the past will be the same. So we put that rider in, especially when it comes to stocks and things like that. You say, well, just because Tesla performed the way it's performed doesn't necessarily mean it's going to continue to perform in the way it performs. But they go even further. They go even further to say the past no longer matters. And I heard that phrase and I thought to myself, that's very, very interesting. That's very, very interesting. Because in a way, it is 100% correct. 100% correct. And if you think about it, a lot of times, the reason that we do things, we act the way we act, organizations act the way they act, is because of inertia. And I've said this before, I think humans are lazy. Humans are very lazy. They don't like change, and they just want to maintain things the way they are. They love steady states. Oh my God, the steady state. We love the steady state, even though there's no such thing as a steady state. But we have a lot of inertia in our lives. And we look at the past and we say, well, this is how I am, or this is how my organization is. And we just continue down that path. We keep going down the path because we say, well, this is the way we were, so we're going to continue to be like that. And this works for both individuals and organizations. I did what I did yesterday, now tomorrow, or today I'm going to do what I do, and tomorrow I'm going to do what I do, and each thing leads to the next because we have a sense of the past. We have a sense of the past. And in that sense of the past, we feel that there's a certain thing called a self. And there's a continuum between our past self and our current self and our future self. And one thing leads to another, and it goes through stages, right? So we acted a certain way in the past, so we're probably going to continue acting this way today and in the foreseeable future. And if we want to change, then we're going to have to figure out how to work that in to the way we are, whether it's you're an individual or an organization, right? But think of it this way. The past is done. It's finished. It's set in stone. And it can stop. The way you are at this very moment, or the way your organization is at this very moment, doesn't have to be connected to the way you were a moment ago. You can change in a moment. Your organization can change in a moment if it just discarded the past. If you said that the past was no longer valid, if it didn't lead to the future, because that's what we all do. We all look at our past to lead ourselves in the present and the future. We say, this is what we're like. I'm that kind of person. We are that kind of organization. And we use the past to justify how we're going to act today and tomorrow. But what if we decided to cut away the past and say the past has no meaning? What if we decided we wanted to stop and say, from this moment on, we are going to be, or I'm going to be a new person. This is going to be a new organization. And we completely disregard the past. Is there any reason why we can't do that? What's stopping us from taking this moment in time and saying the past is meaningless? Meaningless. It doesn't justify where we need to go next. So we're going to discard all of it and we're going to say it's not going to dictate our present and our future. What if we did that? What if we did that? What if we could do that? And I ask you, why not? Why can't we do it? Well, some people might say, well, you invested a lot in the persona, in the individual, in the organization that you are at this point in time. So you have reputations, you have these things that you built, you've had trust, etc. Sure, there is a lot that you've built already. But if some of that doesn't serve you anymore, why not just discard it? You don't have to discard your entire past. You don't have to say, my entire past doesn't matter. You can just eliminate those elements of the past that don't work for you anymore. And you can change in the moment and say, I am going to be a different person, or I'm going to be a different organization. There is no reason why we can't just make that decision and cut off those portions of the past that no longer serve us and do something completely different. What's stopping us? Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that when we need to? Why don't we do that when we have to? Is there any reason why we can't? That's it for me for today. See you next time, and until then, don't forget to think future.